Guys, we're on to Mountain. We have the Everrock Saboteur, which is an amazing card. It's a fire buff, stays out for 1 turn, but when it comes into play, you get an additional action. Then your damage to other heroes bypasses 5 amount of damage reduction. What? This card, I almost want to say it gets a 5-star rating. This is going to be a card that runs with kill shots. This is going to be a card that in the right deck, or just any deck that is Mountain, you're going to run it, you're going to slam it down when your opponent's like, 10 health or so. They put a wall up, like, oh, okay, I'm fine, I'm defensed, I'm good. No. I get an additional action when this comes into play also, so I don't even really waste my turn putting a buff into play. Now you have no wall. Now I can just go ham and kill you from the cards in my hand. This card is bonkers. This is a 5-star card. This is a card to always look out for if they're ever running fire. This is a card that you could legitimately surprise your opponent on. If it's the only fire card you run in the deck, and you run a fire weapon, you can Tantosian Blacksmith on like the turn ending. They're not even expecting it. Okay, you can Tantosian Blacksmith in your Flame Blade or whatever fire weapon you want. Then put out Everrock Saboteur as your fire action, and they're like, wait, you run fire? And you're like, yeah, I do. In tech, and you're like, okay, now I deal 12 damage to you, you're dead. And they're like, what? Like, I didn't think I'd have to play around fire because I never saw a fire card. And that's the whole reason you run it, right? You run 1 Fireblade, you run 1 Tantosian Blacksmith, just so you can have this surprise burst turn in any order. In any order. You could run it in Astral, you could run it in Storm, you could run it in everything. And as long as you play it properly and you don't play your fire cards, you don't do anything, you save them in your turn for the kill shot, your opponent will never see the fire coming. And then they'll just lose because they weren't playing around Everrock Saboteur, because their whole mind, they're like, all right, what does he have in Storm? What is he doing? You never see it coming. This is going to be a kill shot with 3 cards, one of which you're always running if you're running items, Tantosian Blacksmith. Everrock Saboteur, you probably only need 1, maybe 2, depending on just how, so you can draw it faster. And then your fire item, which you only need 1 of. Because you don't need to worry about your opponent removing it if you're doing it just for the kill shot. You don't need to worry about anything. You just have 1 in the deck, have 1 or 2 Tantosian Blacksmiths, and have 1 or 2 Everrock Saboteurs, and any alignment now becomes an immediate threat of you always dying through a wall. You always dying through a wall no matter what. Because you will always have this in the back mind where your opponent doesn't have a wall anymore. No matter what order you're playing, your opponent does not have a wall anymore. Because you get an additional action when it comes into play. That's what makes this so good. Is that this is a kill shot action card as opposed to a combo. This is a kill shot action card that's going to get 5 stars. This card being put into any aggro is going to make aggro very, very hard to deal with. Because usually you're aggro and you're like, okay, I can wait until I'm down to like 14 and whatnot. Then I'll put a wall up. Then I'll defend. Then I'll start coming back after they've won all the resources. No, the wall doesn't work anymore. The wall is dead. The wall is gone. It's over. You're dead. Okay, you didn't put it up soon enough. You're dead. You're gone. You're donezo. Should have played around it better. Should have played around the surprise fire. Everrock Saboteur gets a 5-star for me because this card is just nuts. This card is nuts. Flame Shard Giant is a fire elemental card that does 3 damage and increases the damage and healing from your Creeble cards for the rest of the turn. I mean, yeah, the wall is definitely gone. It's definitely gone. It's just gone. Flame Shard Giant. It's a fire card. It's an elemental card. Cool. It's 3 damage. It needs to be run with Creeble cards. Increases the damage and healing. The thing is, like, you'd want to run this before you run Lava Tamer, which is a Creeble card. And Creeble card, that card searches for a fire elemental. So, like, you'd Flame Shard Giant, then Lava Tamer to do an additional 3 damage and search for a fire elemental card. I don't know. I'd say 2.5. It synergizes with the Mudfoot. Exactly. I mean, there's a card down here that I'll get to. Right here. It synergizes really well with that. I will say that. But, I mean, 2.5. It depends on how prevalent Creeble decks become in Mountain. or if you splash fire in somewhere to run Creebles and run a Flame Shard Giant. I don't know. The increase damage and healing by 2 is really good, but that only means this card becomes better with more Creeble cards. Creeble cards that can deal damage and healing. So yeah, I'll give it like a 2.5, maybe a 3. Yeah, the card alone is what I'm rating. The card alone. Synergizing, we can upgrade stuff like that. The only reason I upgraded the one Dread card from a 3.5 to a 4.5 is because if you're running that one, you're definitely running the other one. Like, there's no reason not to. There's no reason not to. It was a card search that just got increased by another card search that was just bonkers. But Flame Shard Giant, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's 3 damage. You can search for elementals really well. It doesn't have burn. It's a fire card. Could be good like that. The increase to other Creeble cards could be good, but I mean, it's not going to be run in an elemental deck for sure. There are Creeble searches for elemental cards, which is good. Like, they've been synergizing back and forth. But I don't know. I might bump it up to a 3. We are running 30, 35 card decks. It's not 60. So getting these synergy combos off with card fetches to search for cards could be really easy to do. Yeah, I'll give it a 3 rating. Just because obviously you're running Territorial Mudfoot if you're running Flame Shard Giant. I'd have to look and see like if this works, how many other Creeble cards are in other alignments. We'd have to see how well this maybe works in a True Stone, because True Stone does not have Earth. It runs mechanical. So maybe Flame Shard Giant works well outside of Mountain. But right now, when only comparing it to Territorial Mudfoot, like, it's a 3. It works really good with the other card. I'd have to look and see what other Creeble cards it can work really well with outside of Mountain to give it a better rating. But right now, it's a 3. It's just, it's a meh. 2.5 maybe. But yeah, it's only one that you're going to want to run in a more Creeble heavy deck. Because otherwise, 3 damage and then get no benefit from it. You'd rather run a Flame Bat as an elemental card. You'd rather run a Flame Chain Warrior as an elemental card that have better effects. That Flame Shard Giant, like, you run in a specific deck. It's not something that competes with other slots. It's you run it in a specific deck. Sleeping Volcano. Corners 1, 2, and 3 at the start of your turn. Rotate this 1 step backward. When you play an elemental card, rotate this 1 step forward. Corner 4 is 8 damage to your target. Like, I don't know. I want to say, if this was an elemental, I'd love it. It's not. This, because it starts rotating backwards, it's really difficult to figure out how to work it. You know? Because, like, yeah, it's from what I'm seeing on the bonus side, it is a fire buff. It's a very consistent fire buff that sets on the board. So when you're running a very fire buff heavy deck, I think Ferris, the original Ferris, was one that you needed fire buffs to deal increased damage, something like that. So in that case, yeah, Sleeping Volcano is good. Now that we're losing a lot of fire buffs that are staying out there. But legitimately, to like make this one work, you have to lay it. Then next turn, lay 2 elementals. Then next turn, lay 2 more elementals to get it to its final corner. That's 3 turns you have to dedicate to this 1 card. I'd have to look and see how well that would actually do. But that's so much work to put into 1 action card. I explained it to Phil, you can rotate it in 1 turn. What's an elemental that gives you an additional action? How would you rotate this? Jovi, please, if you want to explain it here, I'd love it. But the way I'm seeing this is it becomes really difficult to rotate. Just because of like the way it reads is you have to like basically have the perfect hand. And if your opponent disrupts your hand, then this card becomes a dead card. So for right now, until Jovi tells me otherwise, Catalytic Crystallite. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's an elemental, and you can rotate 2 of your buffs 1 step forward, and then lay another elemental. Okay. That's true. Jovi, that is very true. We haven't really seen a whole lot of Catalytic Crystallite cards or decks that run that card. Maybe because of that, we actually will be seeing Sleeping Volcano. Okay. I'm gonna give this card I was gonna give it a 1. I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2-star rating. Yes, you did explain to me that you can rotate this on turn 2 for 8 damage. That's awesome. That's really good burst potential damage. You can also rotate one of your other buffs to make it. You get a really good swing turn in Mountain. But outside of running that card, this is not a card you splash into other alignments. This is not a card that you really care to do. If you build a deck, you build it to make sure that you rotate Sleeping Volcano. It's going to be more of a Catalytic Crystallite deck than anything, because that's the key card that you want in the deck. And then in which case you probably only run or 2 Sleeping Volcanoes. You don't run 3. You don't run 3 in that deck at all, because then you're saving those other 3 cards, which could be used to turn other buffs for wins, and you're saving them for Sleeping Volcano. So, yes, there is ways to turn it faster. There is ways to get it done on turn 2 for 8 damage for big spike turns. That's good. But you wouldn't run more than maybe 2 of in a deck. Maybe even 1 of. Just like a one-off of really heavy hitting card. 1 and done type of thing. Which is why I'm giving it a 2-star. I'm giving it a 2-star. I'm sure there's a lot of ways to realize, like, the fire potential of just the fire buff that you want out there and do its own thing and whatnot. For all I know, maybe you just have 2 Sleeping Volcanoes out and Catalytic Crystallite moves them both forward and you can hit for 16. Maybe that's why you run 2 of them for a big Sleeping Volcano turn to hit for 16 plus the 5 for the Flame Bat. For 21 damage off of 2 Sleeping Volcanoes and 1 Flame Bat. Maybe there's just a really good swing turn in there. But Sleeping Volcano, like, it's not a deck to build around. It's a deck that you put into an elemental deck that you have to almost run 3 Catalytic Crystallites. And if your opponent doesn't know what's going on or what you're trying to do, yeah, they'll look at this and be like, I'm not going to remove that. He's got like 3 turns to do something with. And the fact of Catalytic Crystallite rotating him faster is a big surprise. I've fallen for that against Mud Turtle many a time. It could be a really fun burst swing card. But I'm still going to give it to maybe 2.5 now that there's that burst potential. Just because it doesn't have unique too. But yeah, you're not going to be able to splash this into every Mountain deck. You're not going to be able to splash it into a whole lot of other decks where it does fit specifically into one Mountain deck, and it fits really well into that Mountain deck. But you're not going to see it everywhere else. So it does get a 2 rating for me. But yeah, this is just like, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. Now that you've explained it to me. But yeah, 2.5. But it's only because it's that low, because you're only going to see this card run in that one deck. It would go higher if I would see it run in any other deck, or if it didn't require that one other specific card to make it good. Because you're not going to splash this into Storm and then have Storm. Well, you can play it in Dread. That's true. You can splash fire into Dread with the new the Abyss one that rotates it. Well, no, because with Abyss Tentacles, if you have Shadow Supremacy, you can just boom, 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 lay all your Abyss package down and spin this forward. You could do that. Actually, I think there are stuff in Astral with gaining additional actions with elemental cards. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Right now I'm sticking with 2.5. But yeah, in Dread, if you run the Abyss package, sure. But would you really want to run this in the Abyss package as opposed to just the Abyss package the way it is? Like, I don't know. I feel like you're already doing enough damage with Tentacles. Give Tentacles Clunky Corner, and I'll think about adding Sleeping Volcano in for more damage. Astral, I think, has some really cool elementals, and I know the Lunar Shrieker is an elemental that gets you an additional action if it's not the same type on top of the discard pile. So maybe Astral it's really fun in. I don't know. We will have to see. Someone out there prove me wrong that this can be run very well outside of Mountain, and I will give it a better rating. But right now it's like 2 to 2.5 because it's only going to be good in Mountain with Catalytic Crystallite. Outside of that, yes, you can run it in the Abyss package, but I'd rather just run an Abyss deck than try and put in Sleeping Volcanoes. That feels like more of a meme deck than a competitive deck. If your opponent removes it, then there's less buff removal. It's true, because Dread doesn't have ways to get cards back from the discard pile. You're absolutely right, Jovi. No, but I kid. I mean, yeah, you're right. It could be buff bait. Could be. But yeah, it's a 2-star for me. Here's another one that I had a lot of hope for, but I'm just like, I mean, Flame Hurler is X2/2. It's a machine card, which is awesome. But when you play a fire card, deal damage to your target. Okay. Potentially, this card does 8 damage. Unpotentially, this card does 0 damage. No. I don't like this card. I think this card is not good. This card probably gets a 1-star rating from me. Yes, it'll go good in an all-fire deck because you want to lay fire cards back to back to back. This card, because it literally requires you to lay other cards to do anything, and just on its own, it's a buff that does nothing, that's why it's bad. If this card literally said, deal damage to your target, and then if you play a fire card, it deals more damage. Yeah, that would be amazing. That would mean it's a rare buff. That would give it its rare status if it was able to do more damage based on what cards you laid next to it or with it. But legitimately, this card on its own does nothing. It does nothing. It only increases when you play a specific alignment card, not even a family card, a specific alignment card. Why? What we had a card like this in Flame Chained Elder that increased the damage and healing done by your next card if the first one you laid was fire. That one I tried to make work really well, but you really only got that one to work maybe on 2 corners out of the 3. Flame Hurler, it's why? Maybe I can see this being like you lay a Flame Hurler down, and then next turn you slam down an Everrock Saboteur, in which case this card does 2 damage, then this card comes down and prevents the wall, so like it doesn't even get past the wall when this comes into play type of thing. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel anywhere near what it could be for a rare slot. This feels like a common card. It gets a 1-star rating from me. I don't think Flame Hurler is going to be good. We would have to find out what the Machine family has to deal with it. Maybe this is a card that like True Stone just loves for some reason because it's a machine card. I don't know. Yeah, and even with Cinder Branch, like late game when you're running out of tempo, laying 1 card dealing 2 damage, it just really helped you win some of the games to dwindle your opponent down. Like even Cinder Branch's ability times felt decent. It felt decent, but there are other things to do with your abilities that that add 2 damage. If Flame Hurler's numbers were 3 and 3, then maybe. But 1 Flame Bat going from 5 to 7? No. Like, Colossi Ritual Site is potentially what this card is trying to replace, but only for fire. And that's it. It doesn't also give you damage reduction. And it's not even that much. This is a 1-star card that I do not think people will run because it's so difficult to get the added benefit from. And I don't know, like I said, you could run this in a, you could easily run this in a True Stone deck, right? True Stone has Supremacy Fire. This is how I'm viewing Flame Hurler. You run True Stone. You don't care about True Stone's ability. You do not care one bit. Not one bit, because you don't care about tech cards. You run Flame Hurler. Okay? You get like 2 or 3 of them out on the board. Then you Maniacal Machine, or not Maniacal Machine. You the one Repairer that you take 1 damage, but you restart all your robot and machine card buffs. Then you restart Flame Hurler. Then you just have like a board of Flame Hurlers that you can just deal fire damage and then restart Flame Hurler, just deal fire damage. But once again, your opponent removes a Flame Hurler and you're like, well, there goes my whole deck strategy. That feels really bad. This feels bad. It doesn't do anything on its own. It's a card that requires you to lay other cards to have this card gain any benefit. If this dealt 2 damage all on its own and then dealt an increase of 2 damage for every fire card, yeah, go for it. Or just every Creeble card. Make it a family instead of an alignment-specific one. But because we've seen cards that dealt alignment-specific things that didn't do well, this card does nothing on its own. The only thing I'm thinking, like I said, is it's going to be utilized for its machine. And when it is, it's going to be utilized in a deck that does things with machines. Maybe, like I said, maybe this is for True Stone, who doesn't care about his hero ability, and runs things like Prism Cannon and Flame Hurler, which are machines, and uses the mechanical aspect to really do stuff that's fun with machines. But then in which case has to be very heavy on the fire to make Flame Hurler good. I don't... Go away, says Teehee. Benny, you get out of here, man. You get out of here. Maybe Flame Hurler is the all-star card that no one has seen yet, and you're going to make a deck and have Flame Hurler do like 17 million damage. I don't know. But it's just like the card does nothing on its own. You need other cards to make it good. Maybe True Stone. Like I said, True Stone is where I'm going with Flame Hurler. Flame Hurler is... True Stone's fire specific. Does things with machines. It's the only thing I'm thinking of where Flame Hurler could be good. Have Flame Hurler, have those Gear Crank catapults, really just make True Stone just the siege army from the back that once it's given the right board state, when you haven't messed with it, it just throws things at you with catapults. Like, that's the theme of the True Stone deck, is it's just the siege army that's in the back with just catapults. Flame Hurler and siege catapults, and it runs Crumbling Tower for what knows what why. But it just I don't see this card. We already tried it with Flame Chained Elder. We already tried it with Flame Chained Elder, and that card was very difficult to play with. That Flame Hurler, I think is going to kind of run into the same problem, where it's a rare that requires you to play a specific element to go along with it. That the only fun thing I'm seeing is because it's a machine, you could run it in a tech deck, which you need fire with. I don't know. I want to try it. I'm going to try it with True Stone to see a meme catapult style deck. But we will try. And actually, Rocket Star Flame Chained Elder wasn't that difficult. It didn't require you to lay 2 fire cards. If the first one was a fire, then you could lay like Crystal Bat. Then you could lay a bunch of other things that just increase the damage and healing. Like Flame Chained Elder was actually a lot more easier to accomplish, to get the added benefit. And that was 3 damage and 3 healing on some of the cards. Where Flame Hurler is just potentially 4 damage a turn. It's just... I don't know. I would love to talk to Benny and see what his thought process on this card was. Like, no, this card has... I can just see Benny going like, this card's going to be a tier 1 deck. You're all wrong. Just wait. And I'm going to be like, all right, I'll wait. And Flame Hurler is going to be the trump of all our dreams. But it just, because it does nothing on its own, it feels really bad. Foothill Century. All right, here we go. We have a clunky rotational of 6 and then 2, where it reduced the first damage received by 6. Awesome. So you lay it on a turn when, like, hey, you're going to hit with a big, I'm going to think Hurler in my Magmi deck Forget it can be any card or ability that can get increased. Could be. Could be, man. Try it. Foothill Century, reduce damage received by rotation. So, first hit, if it's a big hit, which a lot of cards out there are really easy to read now for big hits, just reduces the damage by 6, and then 2 damage. It's not bad. It's not bad. You see a mage ship out there, stop a mage ship. This potentially is what stops OTK decks from from just killing you. It stops one good big hit that they were hoping for, and then they take 2 damage in return. It's a nice little, oh, you thought you were going to hit me? No, you take 2, and then I just block it. Yeah, Foothill Century. I want to feel the more prevalent that those big hit decks are going to become, like Astral has been, like Mountain has really been. Tech has kind of been that way in some aspects. It does a lot of big hits where just blocking 6, you know it's going to happen, or even putting it in front of a blast bot. Not a blast bot. What's the landmine one that's 6 damage if you play an attack? What's that one? Cannot think of it. Anyway, essentially put this down after it, and it's like, okay, next time you attack, that one buff is dead, and then you take 2 damage. Like that. At Foothill Century, there are a lot of plays to play this properly, where this is a 3-star card. It's a good card. If you're going against a deck, Tech is definitely big hits. This is a card that you're not going to run against nature, unless they're running, Stampeding Tusker or Hunger Behemoth. Is it Minefield? No, it's not Blastbot, because Blastbot's the attack. It's the one that's X, then clunky rotation of 6, where the next time you attack, this deals 6 damage. Minefield was a combo. I cannot think of the name. It's gonna bug me. It's still sticking around. I know it is. Bombling. Bombling is the card I'm thinking of. Where Bombling is just X6, and then you put a Foothill Sentry out, and it's like, okay, cool. I'll block Bombling with Foothill Sentry, and then you take 2 damage. Like that. That's just a good play for that, because Tech was very burst heavy damage-wise. But yeah, I think Foothill Sentry is a 3-star card. It's just a nice, solid base. It's not going to be a card you want to try and put into facing its Dread or Nature with all of its incremental poke damage. It's going to do nothing for you there. 1 Insect Swarm totally negates this, just right out the bat. But I do think because it's like next time you get hit, 2 damage back to your target. That could be something to play around with. That could be something that's really fun. Yeah, Foothill Century I think is a 3-star card. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fine. With that, however, and Mountain Fort, with all of their now defensive stuff for Mountain all being clunky, and we have been seeing some cards that are both clunky and non-clunky in Nature, in Storm. It would have been nice to give Mountain something to kind of balance it out with. Yes, Mountain Fort is probably one of the best wall defenses in the game. I think the Mountain Fort should not have any quarters with 3. It should all be 2-2-2-2. It shouldn't have 3-3-2-2, because then it's a Bubblefish on steroids. It's a Mosswitch Defender that, yes, it's clunky, so it bypasses all the incremental damage, but at the same time, it's 3-3-2-2. It does not need 2 corners with 3. It doesn't need it. It prevents so much damage anyway. I don't think it needs 3s. I think it can be fine with all 2s, in my opinion. I think it's fine like that. But yeah, if everything Mountain has is clunky corners, and they don't have just like a Bubblefish type of thing where it's just the next 3 turns, I don't know if Foothill Century is going to compete with a Mountain Fort in any shape or form. I don't know if people are going to run Foothill Century over Mountain Fort, especially when this, like, if not played correctly, Boulder Feast is better than this, because it's 6 healing, and it can max prevent 6, but at most times it's going to prevent 4, and then deal 2 damage to them, which is, I guess, a 6-point swing, so I don't know. But Foothill Century, it's gonna be very situational how you play it over some of the other already good Mountain cards that we have in Mountain, or Earth cards, that it'll be fun to see what people use it for. What people use it for. Territorial Mudfoot. Also, Mountain Fort is a location card. This one doesn't belong to a family. There's that too. We have a Creeble Defend card. Aquamarine Drone. Don't listen to Razor Greshu. Leave Mountain Fort alone. Yet when I say please give Clunky Corners to tentacles, you're like, yeah, do it, Razorgrass. Who says he's a genius? You can't have it both ways, Jovi. You either gotta agree or disagree. You're gonna sit there in limbo with two flags and be like, oh, he said something good. I don't like that one. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm just bullshitting you, man. Don't worry about it. But Territorial Mudfoot is a Creeble Defend card, so we're getting more Creeble cards that are not buffs as we're seeing. So this could be good. This could be very good to run in a Tuck 2 deck. It's an Earth Creeble card that we're getting that's a defend that can go well with that other Astral combo that we saw that required you to have a Creeble on top of your discard pile that was an attack or defend. So it's 3 damage, or sorry, not damage, healing. 3 healing. If another hero has removed any of your location buffs since your last turn, deal 5 damage to them. Okay. So, I mean, this is good in Mountain. It's really good in Mountain. Mountain has a lot of location buffs. Mountain Fort, as we've already seen. I think Steadfast Beacon's a location as well. They just remove them. Cool, awesome. 3 healing, 5 damage. It works really well, as we discussed earlier, with the Flame Shard Giant, where all the damage and healing gets increased, which makes this now a 10 swing card for 5 healing and 7 damage, along with the 3 damage from the Flame Shard Giant. So, like, right there, that's really good synergy along with it. However, this is not a card that you run in Astral. This is not a card that you run with the combo, because it doesn't work in Astral. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, Astral does have some nice locations. It's got the Observatory. It's got I think the Chimchu one, the Treetop Lookout is a location as well. I mean, it does have some locations. I'm not saying it doesn't. But exactly. If they remove it, you don't get the benefit of what this really card is used for. In Astral, it's just, oh, cool, 7 damage and then 3 healing. Creeble Nurse does that. And could be better for 7 healing. Territorial Mudfoot is not a Creeble card that we would run with the Astral card. But Territorial Mudfoot, I do like this a lot. It's a Creeble card that works alongside another family, which is really good. I mean, if we saw a Creeble that only worked with Creeble cards, then it would just lead to Creeble decks, right? We need more benefit cards, more cards that work along with other families to really kind of get a mix mash of decks and family archetypes and really what you want to use for supporting stuff like that, which is what Creeble's really good at doing, is supporting all these other families. And this is just really good. As we already discussed, there's a lot of locations in Mountain alone. Or if Mud Turtle was here, he would be like, this is going in my Halak deck right away, because if you remove Colossi Skybeam on the first turn, I'll heal for 3 and you take 5. Go for it, man. Halak is really good. Edda the... oh, Lord, what's Edda? Edda's full name. I'm really bad with card names. I do apologize. This goes really good in Edda deck. A lot of locations just have one that's kind of just 3 healing whenever you need it, but it can also be 5 damage if they remove one of your locations. Edda of the Depths. Thank you, Rocket Star. Thank you. But yeah, I really like this. I really like this card. I think this is probably a 3.5, actually. Because it is a card that works really well in a well-established family archetype for locations. This is going to probably compete with cards such as Boulder Feast or maybe even Colossi Idol. That's the other healing one. Colossi Idol, right? Where, yes, it's 1 less healing, but it could potentially, and in a location deck, be 5 more damage. And in a location deck, a lot of your damage is probably going to come from your buffs. It's probably going to come from your buffs. So you don't have a lot of burst damage from your hand. So if they remove, like, a Rickety Mine, think like, okay, I can dodge the 4 damage if I kill the Rickety Mine. And like, okay, cool, you dodged it. I get 3 more healing and you take 5 damage. Was it worth killing the Rickety Mine for me to lay a Territorial Mudfoot? You're really only going to lay this when your opponent removes something, too. So it's not a card that you want to, like, lay for 3 healing and no other benefit. It's a card that you're probably going to want to run maybe 2 of. Now, I wouldn't say 3, but maybe 2 of, unless you're playing against Tech and they have Blast Spot and you can remove locations all day. Then, yeah, sure, go for it. But having 2 of these in here, for when your opponent removes a location buff, they take 5 damage and 3 healing, which is burst, from your location buffs that are potentially all your damage on board is from buffs. And Edda of the Depths removes a moment and deals 4 damage for every buff removed. So, like, if they remove your buff and you can't do it with Edda, you can at least lay a Territorial Mudfoot to then get that damage in that you missed from Edda and a little bit of healing. I like it. It's going to be good. Location is a very prevalent family. I was going to say, you're probably not going to see it outside of location family, but let's think about this. Mountain Fort is a location buff. Sleeping Volcano is a location buff. Steadfast Beacon is a location buff. You could easily run this in Magrock. They remove a Steadfast Beacon, you have an 8-point swing on a Creeble card. Seems pretty good to me. I don't know if you would, because Magrock is pretty well established on doing its own thing with the Abyss Tentacles, that I don't know if you'd need the burst from Territorial Mudfoot. But I'm just saying you can. Splashing this into other families that maybe want to build the location stuff for their archetype. Territorial Mudfoot is it's good. 3 healing, potentially 5 damage on removal. But because your opponent has to remove it, and if they're not playing tech, they only have 3 possible removal cards. So I wouldn't say more than 2 in a deck. But, I mean, that's solid for a Kriba card. I'd give it a 3-star. I think it's right around the mid-ground of where we want to be. Fits really well into what it does. And if anything, it's 3 healing. And that's fine with me. Now we have the Interior Meditator. Look at your hero's hand and select, or another hero's hand, and select 1 combo card from it. Then the combo is moved to their deck. You heal for the amount of the combo cost. This card gets like a 3.5 to me. I don't even care if they don't have a combo. I said this in the podcast of Need More Buffs, which I hope you guys listen to. I highly recommend it. It's an amazing podcast. This card legitimately lets me look at your opponent's hand. I'm okay with that. Do you know how often it is times when I'm like, all right, do I lay this? He's got 3 cards in his hand. What are the chances he's got a Crystal Leech, right? What are the chances he does that? And I do it, and he did, and I'm like, wow, I just wasted that. I'll look at my opponent's hand. Oh, he's got 3 cards. Not a buff removal. All of them are defend cards. He's not going to be attacking me. I can start applying pressure. He has defend, yeah, but I know that I'm in a safe spot where I'm not going to die. Or he's got all attack cards. Cool. Now I know that I should probably put up a wall so he can't kill me this turn. Like, moving a combo back is just added bonus. And healing for it is just added bonus, right? You're like at 10 health. You look at your opponent's hand. You're like, okay, is he going to kill me with action cards or combo cards? If it's a combo card, awesome. This one already took care of the problem. Well, I'll heal for a bit. The combo is gone. I don't have to worry about it. If it's action cards, at least I have one more action to be like, okay, maybe I put a Mountain Fort down. Maybe I heal for a little bit. What do I do right now to make it so that my opponent doesn't kill me? And that's what I looked at his hand for. Or, like I said, you can use it mid-game. Does he have a Crystal Leech? Does he have a Pathfinder? Does he have anything that could disrupt me right now from the play that I want to do? I say 3.5 just because of the fact Aquamarine Jovi. We've had cards like this in Storm called Windseer, which literally you saw your opponent's hand and you moved 1 card back to their deck. Windseer was not seen a whole lot, if any. Storm did its own thing, and Windseer was just like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, fine. That because that card was not seen in a Storm deck where like you want to go big, you want to plan out your turns pretty well. Just basing it off that, that's why I'm not giving it a 4-star. I'm giving it a 3.5, very borderlining 4, but looking at your opponent's hand is good. In more like control style decks, I'd say. If you're playing aggro, you wouldn't put this over a Flame Bat. You wouldn't put this over a Mudslinger just for 2 damage. You wouldn't put it over something that actually just kills your opponent. If you're playing tempo, you wouldn't run it over a buff where you just want to maintain the board. This does feel like more of a control style card, where it fits in the control style meta. Maybe tempo, I don't know, if you run one of these just to make sure your opponent doesn't ruin a really good turn that you're looking forward to. But this is not going to go in every single deck. This is not a card that's going to make or break games. This is not a card where it's, hey, your opponent has no wall anymore type of thing. This is a card where, like, if you have 1 of in a deck, you feel fine. You feel fine having 1 of in a deck. You use it when you need it. You use it when you're about to have a really good player. You use it when you're about to die, and you go, okay, can my opponent kill me? Should I be worried right now? That's when you'd use it. Having 1 of those in the deck is fine. It's A-okay to have. I wouldn't say more than 3. Like, 3 is way overkilling it. Maybe 2. You wouldn't put a Flame at all in a stall deck? Oh, Flame Bat. Exactly. Like, you wouldn't run Flame Bat in a stall deck. No. You wouldn't run it in control. Why would you do that? Inertia Meditator, it fits really well in the 1 archetype. It's not something you'd run in a whole lot. It is Earth. I don't know how strong Earth is going to be in, like, holding off your opponent. In my opinion, I'd rather run Air with, Thunder Slugs and Windseers if I wanted to add something in over Earth, where Earth is healing, and yeah, you could look at your opponent's hand, but I'd rather have buff removal and control. That I guess we would have to see. Like I said, it's right on the cusp of being 4. It's like a 3.5 to me, where it does something really nice, and it helps you learn information from your opponent's hand. But we do have cards out there already that it's like, hey, here's Blinding Beetle, move to attack cards back, right? We have cards that are move defend cards back. We had cards that move buffs back. We have cards that literally just move cards back. This one is, yes, you get to look at your opponent's hand. Yes, you get to move a combo back, but it is a combo. Let's go to your Asavak deck. You're going to run a mountain in Asavak? Do it, man. But yeah, I give it a 3.5. It's good. Information on your opponent is always good. Always, always, always. But I'm basing my thing also on the fact that Windseer was also did this thing, and we never saw Windseer. We never saw Windseer be played in almost any deck that was out there for the last 2 or 3 sets. So I don't know how strong and impactful Inertia Meditator is going to be. But I hope it is. I hope it's one of those cards that you're just like, oh man, I hope he doesn't have Inertia Meditator. And then you lay it and you're like, oh, that sucks. I was going to kill him with a combo next turn, or I was going to stop him. But it's fine. It's fine. It's not just 3 damage. You get information, which is really good. Earth and Wind. Aqua, are you going to build an Earth, Wind, and Fire deck? Please tell me you build an Earth, Wind, and Fire deck. I want to build an Earth, Wind, and Fire deck. I want you to do it. Please. Please for me. Do Earth, Wind, and Fire. It'll be great. But yeah, Inertia Meditator. I like it. Road 202. I think we can all agree this is it's a 5-star card, right? It's a 5-star card. Everyone online saw this and was like, how does this card return them to your hand? And everyone was like, that's 13 damage every 2 turns. I don't care if it's 13. I'm okay with it dealing 7. I'm okay with 1 turn. You draw a card, put 2 Creeble cards. Next turn, deal 7 damage to you, get those Creeble cards back. Every other turn you deal 7 is more than waiting 2 turns to deal 13. Every other turn dealing 7 is better than waiting 2 turns to deal 13. You're trying to overkill them, right? You're trying to overplay this card. You don't need it. The only time I see you waiting for the second turn to get 13 damage is when your opponent legitimately has like, I put the Bulwark Barrier up, I put 3 Mountain Forts, I have a 18 damage reduction, and you just need to blow that thing up. 7 damage every other turn is really good. Mind you, every other turn you're also drawing a card. And the cards that you're using go back to your hand. So it's not even like you're wasting the cards that you put under there and they go to the discard pile and you need to get them back. No, this is an immediate threat. This is a card that you build a deck around. This is a card where you run 3 of them and you get it out as soon as possible. This is a Halak deck. Halak runs Road 202, so you have it in the hand right away in a very heavy Creeble deck. So you always have Road 202 at the beginning. Then you put 2 more in there just to make sure that later in the game you have what you need. And then you run a few other buffs and whatnot and see if they're potent to make this work. But this card is bonkers. Like, what it should say for the defendability is store up to 2 Creeble cards. If you store 2, then draw a card. Right? Like, you shouldn't just get to draw a card all the time and then store 2 under there to a maximum of 4. And then the attack ability, if anything, the attack ability should not move them back to your hand. How? This card is going to be bonkers in Magrock. Magrock with this, running the Creeble cards that we've just seen, having this be Earth. Yeah, I will use the defendability to draw a card, store 2 cards under this, have all my tentacles trigger. Then guess what, guys? I also have Dust Talon Assassin to trigger the attack ability on this card. Can you? Yeah, you can, because you can trigger 2 abilities with Dust Talon Assassin. Then the attack ability. I drew a card, I dealt 7 damage to you, and I got my 2 Creeble cards back to my hand. All while triggering 2 abilities in a Magrock deck with tentacles. Like, why? Why? Road 202. No, this card should be called Road 404 because the game is not found after this card is made. The game is not found because there's an error where we all look at this card text and go, why? Why does this card read what it says? Why does this card put cards back into your hand? Why does this card deal 7 damage every other turn? Why do you also get to draw a card? Like, drawing a card with the defendability is really good. That's the reason Duskblade Tome is probably the number 1 item. It's just so good. Why? You only need this and a bunch of Creebles in your deck. And then guess what? There's an unaligned card that you're going to find out sooner or later that returns 3 Creeble cards. Oh my god. Why does this... Road 202 is essentially the same problem that Tentacles has. It has infinite damage value. It has infinite damage value. You want to know why? Because the first ability, the way the deck check works, if you ever get the deck check, the way deck check works is if a card did not leave your hand, and if a card left your hand and did not return to it, you miss the deck check, right? So in this one, defend ability, 2 cards leave your hand and do not return. You already meet the deck check. Next turn, attack ability, 7 damage, cool, then lay 1 card. Next turn, defend ability, put 2 under there. Cards left your hand, you met the deck check. Like, this card even works late game. How? How does this not have clunky corners to be like, hey, cool, I made a left, left, right, left. Eventually, this road does end. Eventually, roads do end. They do not go on forever. Whether they meet the ocean or they meet a T intersection, roads end at some point. Road 202 is an infinite loop with PlayFusion just sitting there laughing at us going, ha, guys, this is going to be the new Tentacle. This is going to be what everyone is going to be complaining about. Because this is so bonkers. This is so bonkers. The only thing it has is it's a location buff, which means everyone's going to be running Blast Spot. Everyone is going to be including Blast Spot to remove this buff because this is so potent. This is so potent that it's literally one of those decks, along with Kree Balloonist, that is going to make a deck around it. It's going to make a deck around it. And when you have a card around action cards that you build a deck around, those decks usually win. Tentacles. You built a deck around Tentacles. You stalled the game until you had Tentacles. Road 202 doesn't even have burn. You can get all those cards back and keep doing it forever and ever. Except that road is dangerous. The thing is that the road is dangerous, yeah. Look, there's 2 Creebles sitting in the trees. But you know what? Those Creebles, what the Creebles do is they jump up in the trees, then they jump down and kill you, but then they don't run down the road. They run back into the tree to do it again and again and again. Those Creebles should have joint pains from jumping out of trees so many times that they should not be able to climb back up those trees. AKA, they should be sent to the discard pile or be shuffled back into the deck or something. But the fact that they're moved back to the hand means that you can do this turn after turn after turn after turn. And it is going to be the most potent deck out there. Next to anything with Abyss Tentacles. Even with Abyss Tentacles, guess what? You get 2 ability triggers. Tentacles love abilities. Why? Just why? Road 202. 5-star card. I said my piece on it. Anyway, guys, let's look at Crystallizer, shall we? Crystallizer is the nice card. 3 damage. The recipient moves 1 card from their hand to their bottom of the deck. Meh. And 2.5, I'd say. Like, borderlining 3, but the Mudfoot got a 3, and that's potentially 8-point swing. And that was a 3. This one might just be a 2. 3 damage. It is a little bit of hand disruption. You don't get to pick the card that you did with the Earth. It's a crystal card. The only reason I'm giving this the 2.5 as opposed to like a 2 is because the crystal cards we've been seeing have not really been damage inducing. And I do want to say that there are some things in Crystal that you probably would run this over some other things that are in Mountain and any other ways. Onyx is a Crystal Supremacy one. You'd probably run Crystallizer over some of the other cards. Yeah, it is a little bit of hand disruption. And from what we saw in Dread, Dread had 2 really nice cards for hand disruption. You know, if they, were at a certain health point or they just moved 1 card back. Those cards weren't utilized a whole lot, but when they were good. They were fine. Crystallizer, if we are going to try and run it in Onyx, and we are going to try, at least I'm going to try, and build like an Onyx mill deck, anything that moves a card from their hand to their deck so that I can mill it, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'd probably say 2 instead of a 2.5, actually, because outside of that, I don't see why you'd run this over Crystal Bat. I don't see why you'd run this over any of the other Crystal cards that do better things. But Crystallizer, I mean, it's... If you need hand disruption, if you need things to go back to their deck, as opposed to just surviving or doing more damage and healing, Yeah, sure. Why not? Could be fine. Maybe they only have 2 cards left. And you move one back, and it's a combo. And you're like, oh, cool, I hit a combo. And then they have an Umbran Informant, and they draw 4 cards. And you're like, well, that was just horrible for me. The fact that it also doesn't shuffle your opponent's deck and it puts it on the bottom could be good, too. Could be good. It's it's not going to be, oh, he shuffled it back, there's a chance he draws it again. No. The card he puts back is on the bottom. So unless he's running Tech or Astral, it's completely useless against HCA. Yeah, exactly. It's completely useless against High Creator Arwen. Exactly. Because they can just draw it back. But yeah, I mean, it's a 2-star card. 3 damage for Crystal. If you're looking for a lot of Crystal stuff. It's not even an Elemental. It's just Crystal. Yeah, I don't see this card being impactful. I see it being somewhat of a, kind of card. We'll find a spot on a deck, I'm sure, for it over some other stuff. But yeah, with cards out there, especially with High Curator Arwen, as potent as he is, this card it's probably not going to see play. Just because if High Curator Arwen is going to keep being top on ladder, it doesn't matter if you move it to the bottom of their deck. High Curator Arwen's just going to draw it back. He's just going to get it back, and he's not going to care. At that point, shuffling is better. But we'll see. Mind you, we have to keep in mind, everyone, that they made these cards probably last year and just couldn't get them out in time through distribution issues, because these cards have been printed for a while now. Like, these cards were meant to come out in January, probably even before then. So we wouldn't have found out these broken High Curator Arwen synergies. We wouldn't have found this stuff, and now these cards came out, and they're like, oh, that's right. Oh, well. So, but 2-star. Like I said, I think Onyx could be fun with it. Outside of that, I'm not entirely sure what other stuff you'd want to run Crystallizer over. Maybe you're just, like I said, a very heavy Crystal deck, and you're going to be running cards like the Tantrum Creeble, which I'll go ahead and skip one. Tantrum Creeble is discard 5 Crystal cards. And you're like, I just want to put all the Crystal cards in my deck so I can deal 5 damage to my opponent and draw 5 cards. Maybe that's why you run Crystallize, because you just want a Crystal card. I don't know. We'll see. Prison Bite Scuttler. It's an insect for Crystal. Beautiful. Love insects. Corner 1 is 2 damage to your target. Corner 3 and 4 is draw a card. I don't see why this one should be any different from the Anti-Gravity Bot. This is a 5-star card. It draws you 2 cards. Yes, not like the next turn and then 2 turns afterwards, but it draws you cards outside of your action phase. It's replacing Ancient Miner, and Ancient Miner was in Earth. This is in Crystal. It does 2 damage right when it comes into play. Already better. Already has an immediate impact on board. And then if they don't remove it, you draw a card and you draw a card. This is good. This is ridiculously good. Drawing cards outside of your action phase is ridiculously good. I don't know why these cards aren't rare. Ancient Miner was a common, I understand that, but it was legit. I talked to Matt at Delivery Crab. Ancient Miner was the first common card he sold out of because of how strong that card was. Like, let's put it this way. Ancient Miner was in Earth, and that card was splashed in to draw cards. What is probably the most common item that people run right now? I don't know. I hear there's a gang that goes around with it. Some people doing a song and dance. Crystal Core, anyone heard of that item? I don't know. You run Crystal Core. You run Prison Bite Scuttler. Because why not? Right? Card draw in Crystal. The most common item splashed into any deck right now goes along with that order. Why would you not run Prison Bite Scuttler? Yeah. Cool. Like, just, you couldn't give it the extra 0.5 because of the corner on the 3rd and 4th. I mean, that's fine, Aquamarine Drovey. The fact that, like, if you also want to compare this to our new card draw that we got in Astral, which was X1 essentially, and then if it wasn't Gravity, you dealt 2 damage. This deals 2 damage right away. So it immediately already has an impact on the board right when you lay it. And then, yeah, you can draw 2 a few turns later. 2 high risk. I don't think so. I think yeah, people will see this as Ancient Miner, and people will go, okay, can I allow him to have card draw? And if not, this is buff bait removal. Your card draw got removed. Okay, this card doesn't have burn. You can bring it back, or you can then now lay a Prism Cannon in Crystal. I removed a Prism Bite Scuttler. Now there's a Prism Cannon out there for 8 damage. Which one would you rather not die to? It's just like, it's a 5-star hero with a certain hero coming up. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say that this card is just, in my opinion, a 5-star card. Because of how strong drawing outside of the action phase is, I will keep saying that. We found that out in Ancient Miner. We found that out in Tree Sprout. We found that out in Astronomer now, drawing 4 cards. In Shadowy Supplier, drawing cards outside of the action phase makes it so that this game becomes every other card game, like Hearthstone, like Magic the Gathering, where you draw a card before your turn starts. The reason this game was different and unique is because you either used your cards in your hand at the end of the turn, that's when you drew, and can start setting up your next turn. If you have a card like this that essentially says, hey, now I can win off a top deck. Now I have no cards in hand, I can win off a top deck. I have more potential of winning on my turn than I did the turn prior. And there is no, like, okay, let's hope it, like, put it this way. When you have, okay, your opponent has 2 cards in hand. Okay, good. He probably doesn't have, like, a combo payment. He probably doesn't have anything like that. Cool. You even saw his hand before. Cool. He's got 2 cards, nothing to worry about. He draws 1 card. He draws a card that you couldn't remove the turn before. You couldn't send back to his discard pile. You couldn't make him discard. That card is a Flame Bat, and you're at 4. He wins. He wins. You did everything you could, and he won off a top deck. Plus, Crystal has the card that moves us forward step 2. Yeah, exactly. I think Prism Bite Scuttler is a card that people will include 3 of in a lot of decks that run Crystal, just for card draw. It doesn't matter if it's, 2-1-X1 or 2-X-1-1. It doesn't matter where the card draw is. Yeah, you can remove it. That's fine. People removed Ancient Miner before you get to the first corner. That's fine. This card just deals 2 damage right when it comes into play, which is already better. And then, yeah, you'll wait 2 turns before you draw the card. But, like, I'm giving it 5 stars. I'm giving it 5 stars because it's card draw outside of the action phase. Like, I cannot say that enough. It changed my life as soon as I realized that. My mind was opened. I was like, oh, that's really good. And you're going to start seeing this. You're going to start seeing this in a lot of decks that run Crystal. And a lot of decks run Crystal Core already. So, card draw in a deck that can be any deck, you're going to watch out for. Freshness does 2 damage, doesn't matter. Does against a Mountain Fort. Any cyclical damage against a Mountain Fort helps. But yeah, I mean, like, the 2 damage, it's just a nice added bonus. You play this for the card draw. Because card draw is card draw. Jovi, you took the words right out of my mouth. You really did. Yeah, card draw is card draw. It's a good card. Cannot say that enough. Tantruming Creeble. It's a Crystal Creeble card. Discard up to 5 cards from your hand, or 5 Crystal cards from your hand. Damage to your target and draw cards equal to the number of cards discarded. What? Once again, it's a card that requires a specific alignment. A specific alignment. Those are a lot harder to come by when building a deck, because usually when you build a deck, you don't want to go full ham on one alignment because you have combos to pay for. You want to have a very evenly spread thing. There's not a Crystal card that we've seen that gets an added benefit from being discarded, unless there's more Creeble Crystal cards, which I think there's, like, this is the only one. Maybe there's one more that I'm not thinking of. You can't even really discard him for the Creeble aspect. It's potentially a defend card that deals 5 damage, draws you 5 cards. That's maximum potential. But you need to have 5 Crystal cards. You need to have 5 Crystal cards. Because of the discard theme. That's the thing, is like the discard theme, you would need to discard beasts for the 1 hero. They'd have to be Crystal beasts. You would have to discard Kriebel cards, so they have to be crystal Kriebel cards. Like, the discard theme is there, but it's relying more on the family as opposed to just relying on cards in general. Like I said, run Crystal Core and splash this in Tech or Dread. You'd have to have a lot of crystal to run this card. And then you'd only want to really run one. And there better be crystal beasts. Like, if you discard a crystal leech, wouldn't you rather keep the crystal leech? Cabal Sorceress, Giant Stomper. Okay, yeah, sure. I could see that. But Cabal Sorceress captures only Kriebel cards, right? If I'm not mistaken. So how many crystal Kriebel cards are there? It's like one of those where I'm looking at it. Yeah, there's potential for it. But offhand, this is like, I'd say 1.5 to 2. I'd say 1.5 to 2. Just because it doesn't say discard a card or discard whatever, because it's restricting itself to an alignment, means that your deck has to have crystal cards, which means to get added benefit for this, you're waiting until you draw those crystal cards, right? You're waiting to draw those few crystal cards you put in to discard the Tantrum and Kriebel. And in which case, some of those cards might just be better to play. They might be better to play. If that's also the case, you're running a very heavy crystal deck. Yes, you get to draw cards too, and you'll get the whole discard theme. So like, there's bound to be something for discarding crystal cards. There's bound to be something eventually, or even down the line that I'm not even seeing, where discarding them becomes good. But right now, with how limited we are on, let me go into crystal. Let me go into how many crystal Kriebel cards there are. There is not a single crystal Kriebel card outside of Tantrum and Kriebel. So this card does not work with Cabal Sorceress, unless you literally only discard these. This is not an elemental. This is an elemental. It's an insect. This is the only Kriebel crystal card we have. So you don't even get that whole family, the Kriebel discarding family aspect to it. I don't know. This is, like I said, this is one of those where you have to run it in a very heavy crystal deck to get any benefit out of it the way you do. The only added benefit is it is a Kriebel card, so you could probably search for it. It is a Kriebel card you could search for. It's a defend that could deal damage if you need it to. I don't know. I'm still stuck on the 1.5 to 2, somewhere in between there. Cards like Shrine of Death, or not Shrine of Death. The undead one where you store cards under it. Yeah, Cabal is 3, but Cabal. Where are you now? Where are you? Cabal literally needs you to store Kriebel cards, and that one Kriebel is the only crystal Kriebel. Yeah, it feels like it's a card that is made for future sets. It feels like it's a card made for future sets, which is we've got a few cards like that before where they're kind of meh, but we're feeling in future sets they'll become much more prevalent. They'll become much stronger in the game once future sets come out. This feels like one of those cards where right now it's like borderlining 2, probably less than a 2. Because, I mean, why would you discard 5 cards to deal 5 damage and draw 5 cards? I would rather lay a card that potentially makes me draw cards, or lay a card that has an effect on the game. Tantrum and Kriebel it feels really weird, and it feels bad because it has to be crystal cards. As I said before, back with the Flame Hurler, it required fire cards. This card, you need to put in a deck with a lot of crystal cards. Flame Hurler's foreshadowing future waves. Could be Rocketsire. Very well could be. That Tantrum and Kriebel requires its own element to do anything. What catches these cards in Mountain? Sorry, I didn't hear that question. I don't think there's any mountain card that catches. We are losing the Stubborn Everrock. Or no, it's not Stubborn. I thought we had gotten a location card. Road 202 catches Creebles, and you have to store them under there with the defend ability. Stone Scribe. Is Stone Scribe leaving, though? Is Stone Scribe leaving? Yes, it is. Stone Scribe is leaving. So you don't even have Stone Scribe. Yeah, there's not a buff that deals with storing in Mountain. So if you are running this... Whoop, I'm way past it. If you are running this, you're probably running it outside of Mountain. Or you're splashing a color in that does catch it. Like, I think Tech has a card that catches stuff now of any cards. And then there is, of course, the Shadow buff that catches 3 cards and then deals sealed 7 damage. So there are cards like that are non-specific that could make Tantrum and Creeble work better. But because it requires you to have Crystal, like instead of just a family, to fit into a family archetype, it requires an element, and those always feel bad. Those always feel bad because it means your deck has to be very heavy on that element. And then if you don't draw that element, you're kind of like, oh, that's a bummer. And then when you do draw it, it's like, well, your Crystal is your utility. Your Crystal Leeches, your Scuttlers, anything you want for a Crystal. Those are the cards that you usually want to lay and get a benefit from. So why would you just throw out and discard them? I don't know. We'll have to see. But... yeah, this is like a 1.5 to 2 star rating. Oh, 1 sec. I gotta... Yeah. Sorry, guys. How do you get them to at least try it out? Outside of just saying, hey, at least try it out. You could show them the physical decks that you play. You could say, hey, it's a free app to download. If you download it, just play the trial versions. And all this other stuff. Yeah, Granite would have been great. Granite's leaving, though. But yeah, I mean, it's really one of those, like, hey, if you want to try this out, the app is free. Play the download app. Play against the AIs. Build the decks. Just learn the game and how different it is from Hearthstone. That's what I would say, because this is very different from Hearthstone. It's very different from any card game I've ever played. And just saying that, just have them try it. It's its own unique experience that I do think is very different from any card game I've played. So it's really not even comparable to Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering or anything like that because of how all the mechanics work. It's a game in its own. Rockbound Twister. Oh, it's getting hot in here. I have my lamps on and I have a long sleeve shirt on. Rockbound Twister is an elemental crystal, X 1 and 2. Increase the damage done to other heroes by, and then when you play a location card, restart this buff. This is amazing. This is so good. This is the card that... this is what we're replacing with Colossi Ritual Site. This is really good. And it restarts when you lay a location card. Like, this card could be really good in an Edda of the Depths deck, where you just play a lot of locations. There's location defend cards. There's location attack cards. There's location buffs. There's locations in every single action that this is just really good. This is just really good. For 2 turns, you get increased damage, and then there's a way to restart it. This card gets a 4.5 rating from me. Just because it's once again very cyclical damage increase, which is, I believe, what this game really likes. Citadel Musician was kind of the start of that, where 4 turns, all your damage is increased by 1. Go wide on the board, have them just hit really big. You don't get 1 big turn and then you're done. You really want to utilize the consistency of making sure that you get turn after turn after turn of just increased value. And with Rockbound Twister, this card is just really good, and you can restart it by laying a location card, any card you want. Yeah, just save your location card. Save a Mountain Fort for the second turn. Slam it down. Cool. You get to increase your damage and all that stuff. Let your buffs do the damage for you. And that's kind of what this card is reading, is you don't want to wait for your attack cards from the hand, because if you do the attacks, you get like 1 or 2 good things. Restarting this for your buffs to stay on board is really good. Anything that has an option to restart is good. It is. It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, an elemental location is really fun. I had a lot of fun building my Edda deck that had some elementals in it as well. The Rockbound Twister is just, it's a solid card. It's a solid card. I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I 4-star, maybe 4.5. I'd probably just say 4. 4-star card. Rockbound Twister is a great card. Crystalline Reflection. We have Earth and Crystal. We have Burn, 5 healing if your last card of cards an action buff, move it into play. Meh. I'm going to give this a 3-star. I'm going to give it 3-star. It's essentially what it has is it's like a Boulder Feast mixed with a Geode Hatchling on one combo. That's what you get. Those were good cards. Those were cards always run. It's a good combo. You will play it in, Mountain Fort, or you play it with any buff that your opponent removes, and then you play this and put it back into play, or it did its own thing, now it's gone, now you put it back into play. Crystalline Reflection, Geode Hatchling was seen a lot even before Stall was played, just to bring back certain action buffs that you wanted. That Crystalline Reflection is really good. It's really good. It's 5 healing. It's the same thing Geode Hatchling did. This is a 3-star combo. You only get to do it once where Geode Hatchling, you put 3 of those copies in, you put those buffs into play, you were all good. You were right on track. Crystalline Reflection is a 3-star combo. I think it's really good. It's perfectly fine for what it does, and you're going to see several action cards, action buffs, that you want to bring back at certain points. So I do like this card. I like this card a lot. Jack of all trades. This card does exactly what the card says it does. It deals damage, it heals, it draws a card, and it gains an additional action. It does what it does very well. It fits into Crystal only, which is very good. I want to say this is probably a 3.5 to a 4-star combo. Crystal has always been one of those where the buff that you had before was the Prism Cannon MK2, the Mark II, which was just 16 damage after 4 turns. And that one didn't see a whole lot of play compared to what Mountain did in general. Having this be Crystal, having it be your utility, saying, guys, guess what? For 2 utility Crystal cards, you can do everything you want in the game for 4 turns. You get to deal 4 damage to your target when it comes into play. Awesome. Next turn, you get to heal for 3. Even better. Then you'll draw a card, then you'll get an additional action to use that drawn card. This is a really good buff. This is a really good standard for just what Crystal does. Like, Akram Reach says, what? Yeah, Jack of all trades. Like, I give this a 4-star. I give this a 4-star because this buff, even outside of cards like Onyx where they can only do, why not 5? Because it's not a game ender. It's a solid card. It does everything. It doesn't do everything the best. It's not going to make or break a game. It's a card you'll see a lot of. And when it's put out there, your opponent will be like, oh man, he's getting a lot of value out of that thing. Should I remove it? It has card draw in the same position as the bug. You gave it 5. That's an action card which you can run 3 of. Yes. And that card draws you 2. Yes. Jack of all trades is a combo buff. So you're spending 2 cards to lay it. It's very hard to get combo buffs back from your discard pile. Like, it's a 4-star card. I think it's really good. It takes up 1 slot in your deck. I think this is a 4-star buff. Comparing it to other cards, other buffs that we've gotten, like Wrath of the Mountain, that was a 5-star. I think Jack of all trades gets a 4-star. Yeah. I mean, if you were able to run 3 of these in your deck, yeah, that'd be great. I'd run 3 of these all the time. You win it with my action cards. Jack of all trades is just like, yeah, you play it early, mid, or even late game and kind of reestablish tempo, rebuild up where you're losing. Yeah, it's good. Gives you one of each on the four corners, and it's like, okay, this is good. I'm feeling benefit every turn. It's good. Jack of all trades, it's a 4-star. I like it. Pyroclastic Blast, 3 fire, 10 damage. You may remove up to 2 of your location buffs to increase this by 2 damage per buff. Fun fact, we were playing Lightseekers in the hotel lobby in summer of 2017 at about 2 in the morning. One of the guys working night shift named Jack came up and watched us play. The next day he found us at the convention and gave us the idea for the mountain combo that did everything. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. That is great. Like, just some random guy's like, hold on, I get an idea. And here's like, go on. Yes. Oh, okay. What if it did, just literally everything? Mountain is the jack of all trades. I think you even said that in your descriptor when the game first came out. That Mountain is the jack of all trades. So giving a combo that just says jack of all trades, that's pretty legit. That's pretty cool. But 10 damage. You may remove up to 2 of your location buffs to play to increase this by 2 per buff removed. This is like a 4.5 star combo because it's right up there with Solar Flare. Solar Flare allowed you to discard cards from your hand, so it was a lot easier to control on doing the damage. The payment was a lot easier. This is 3 fire. But Pyroclastic Blast potentially dealing 14 damage is really good. Solar Wind. Yes, Rocket Star. Solar Wind. Thank you. Yeah, Pyroclastic Blast is just really good. It's a really strong combo. It's going to be one of those combo finishers that kills your opponent if you have a very heavy location buff board. And locations, as we've already discussed, are very prevalent in Mountain. You have Mountain Fort. You have Steadfast Beacon. I'd have to go through and see what other location buffs. But, there's location buffs on a line that you're running, like Colossi Skybeam. There's a bunch of things that you can just easily remove. Oh, Rickety Mine is one. Enchanted Soil is another location. Those are just right there, 4. That with Pyroclastic Blast, yeah, you just go ahead and you kill them. It's 14 damage. It's really good. I would, running this along with Inferno it's really solid. It's really solid to do. I like it. I think Pyroclastic Blast is going to be one of those cards to always look out for. It's 10 damage or 14 damage on 2 combos. There's going to be really, really heavy hitting stuff in Mountain coming out. Pyroclastic Blast, I like. Earthen Connection. 3 Mountain, 1 Crystal. Select an Earth buff you haven't played. Damage your target to heal yourself to that current value. Draw 3 cards. This is like a 1-star. This could be better in later sets, but the only one that I saw that you can get the max value off of is the 1 Earth buff that has 6, and that's the one we saw up here. And it literally rotates whenever you take any damage. So, like, getting this to its max potential means that your opponent cannot deal damage to you when you lay that. Then the next turn, you get to 6 damage to him, heal for 6, and draw 3 cards. Otherwise, this is, like, on average, 2. Yeah, if the Everrock... Well, that one's... As far as I know, Everrock Carver is rotating out, too. But yeah, Earthen Connection, like, there's no Earth buffs to really utilize it. Even combos, the max you get is like 5. For a 4-cost combo, to only deal like 2 or 3 damage and then heal for 2 or 3, and then drawing 3 cards, as we've discussed, Rupture potentially draws you 4 cards for a 2-cost combo. This one draws you 4 cards for a 4-cost combo. And it doesn't have nearly the impact that Rupture does. This card feels really bad. It feels really bad. It's 3 Earth to play, too. So, like, the Earth card you have to put out, you better hope you have at least 3 Earth cards in your hand. It's just like, it's really bad. It's really bad. I wish it had more of a benefit. But even Storm Conduit now we're seeing is being played because of some of the fun stuff that Storm can do. Earthern Connection is just... Why? Why is it like this? You can do so much more. You can do so much more. It's not good. It's not good. Then we have the Invocation of Flames. Invocation of Flames, 2 fire, 1 earth, 1 crystal. 9 damage, heal yourself for 5. You do not like this card? Really? Invocation of Flames? I'm okay with it. I think this is like a 3.5. I mean, if you made it a 3 cost, this would just be Stream of Tantos. Yeah. We already have Lava Shedding. Then we had Stream of Tantos. Now we have Invocation of Flames. I think this is fine. Oh, the last combo. Yeah, no, I didn't like that one either. Invocation of Flames, I like. Pays for most things. Yeah, it's taken up the slot of what is what's the one I'm thinking of? Actually, yeah, it's the same slot as Scorched Earth, and it's staying. So Scorched Earth and Evocation of Flames, yeah, feels really good. It's 2 fire. You can run it with Inferno. You can run it with the Pyroclastic Blast. Just be a really aggressive mountain deck. I like it. Invocation of Flames, I really like. We're losing Magma Blast. We're losing Wrath of the Mountain. This is probably our now, next to Inferno, our heaviest hitting combo buff for damage-wise, and it heals you for 5. With that being said, I think it's only like a 3, maybe a 3.5. Probably only a 3. Because in those types of decks, you're going to run Inferno or Invocation, or Pyroblastic Invocation, or whatever it is, Pyroclastic Blast, over this one to me. That it's just like, the numbers could be bigger. It could do something else for what it does. We already have Scorched Earth. I don't think we need a 3rd Stream of Tantos or a 3rd Lava Shedding. I think those were fine as what they are. It could have at least done 10 damage to compete with Inferno. But if it did, people probably... I mean, Inferno's just 10 damage. This could be 10 damage and 5 healing. But 5 healing for 2 more card payments feels a little weak. I don't know. It's right around 3 for me. It's going to be good in Aggro Mountain. It's anything good in Aggro Mountain that deals damage is going to be good. But I mean, I do feel like there's plenty of other combos you could put in here, either just for combo payments or anything else that you don't need a 4 cost in Aggro Mountain. You can go up to 3 and be fine with all the cards they have. That Invocation of Flames feels like overkill in a sense. But we'll have to see. I'm only giving it a 3. I'm giving it a 3 max. Corrodius is Earth Superior. Ability, discard the top card of your deck to heal for 2. This is like a 1-star hero. No. Why? First of all, Earth Supremacy, where all of your healing and damage reduction comes from. Why is his ability then to discard essentially a random card from your deck to heal for less? You don't want to use the ability. The ability is negligible, in which case there's other heroes that have Supremacy for Earth that do better. Corrodius is a really cool hero. He looks really cool. He's got Spartan armor style. He looks like a really fun warrior. Why is he healing? Why is his ability to discard a card at random and heal for 2? I would never do that. I don't think there's any way to discard the top card of my deck to ever be benefit. In Astral, yeah, sure. But a lot of times in Astral, you knew what the top card was regardless. Why would you do that for healing for 2? That's not a benefit. Because then it's like, oh, I discarded a Boulder Fist. Or a Boulder Feast. Wow, I lost 4 healing. Whoops. Like, Ancient Ignu is sticking around, is from what I'm understanding. And that's draw card, and if it's Earth, you heal for 1. And then you can lay Boulder Feast. That's drawing a card for 50% of the healing. And then you get that card. I don't like him. It's a 1-star hero. I don't think he's going to be played for a lot of other heroes. Crub the Collector. Draw 1 card when any of your crystal buffs are removed by another hero. Crub the Collector is one of those that I literally see, like Wrathshard. You go full on with crystal, full on with a full meme here. You build a meme deck around him. He's a 2-star hero. I like his ability, where if any of your buffs are removed by another hero, you get to draw a card. You replace the card. There's a tech card in here that essentially does the same thing, where if it's removed, you get to draw a card. Where this one, if you just go heavy on the crystal, that's what that card reads. It's like, oh, you removed my buffs? Cool, I'll draw a card. I'll replenish my hand. I'll get benefit back. But he's limited to only crystal buffs. He's limited to only crystal buffs. Oh, Ignu is leaving? I didn't know that. But like, Crub the Collector it's more of a meme from what I'm seeing. It's a very meme card. Very, very meme card. I don't see. I see potential, but at the same time, I'm like, it's very, very limited potential. Like, you are running nothing but crystal in here. Because if you do, then you don't get his benefit. And then you're just playing a normal hero. Aquamarine Jovi says you disagree. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, maybe he's good if you don't go full crystal meme. Maybe he's just a solid crystal hero. But I don't know. For me, he's a 2-star. I don't see as much potential as I think I should be seeing. And his hero only works on average 3 times out of the game. So that's where I'm going with this. I'd say 2-star hero. I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong. Ferris the Banished. We have Fire Superiority. Ferris the Banished. Awesome. First of all, I love it. We're getting an upgrade to Ferris. Ferris was cool. Ability. Move the bottom 2 fire elemental cards from your discard pile to your hand. This can only be played once per game. That's legit. That is legit. This is one that's searching for specific ones in your discard pile. So like if you only run like 2 or 3 fire elemental cards, you get those back. It's not like the 2 bottom cards if they're fire elemental. It's the bottom 2 fire elemental. They could be like cards 6 or 7 in your discard pile, and you still get them back because they're the bottom 2. Cards like this that search for specific ones in your discard pile are really good because you can build a deck around it. You can build a deck to only have those cards in your discard pile to then know that you're always getting those back. You don't like heroes that can only be played once? Muddy Brew was one that a lot of people, I was like, why are you using that on like 2? You could get so much more value out of it if you wait for a bigger board. There's the Hive Bark that I saw people use on like turn 2 to get 1 card back. And I'm like, you can get a total of 5. Why are you using it so quickly? Like there's those kind of things where I do feel like using the once per game is fine. If you build a deck right, if you build a proper deck with a hero like this, you should only need to use it once a game. Jovi, you have a question? What's up? I'm just gonna keep talking as soon as the question comes up. If you build the proper deck with him, you should be able to do like tempo damage and all this stuff. Where late game is the only time you really need it. Like you'll get 2 fire cards back indefinitely. You know that for sure. So you dwindle them down with your fire attacks, with your flame bats, with your flame chained elders, and all this other stuff. And then you draw Inferno. And then as soon as you draw Inferno, like, okay, cool. I'll use this ability, get 2 fire cards back. Next turn I can lay Inferno. I know I can lay for it. So it's like one of those things where, yes, you only get to use it once per game, but you should only have to use it once per game to win. Is it the ability that can be played once, and so I can Dust Talon Assassin the ability to use it again or not? No. You cannot Dust Talon Assassin this ability to trigger it once again per game. Once it's been activated or triggered, it like the card becomes dormant. So you can't Dust Talon Assassin for a second time. You cannot do that. But I think he's a 4-star hero. In my opinion, he's a 4-star hero. He's going to fit that very fire-aggressive archetype that we're going to be seeing when Mountain comes out for all the fire things that it has and what it can do. And because it's like, yeah, the bottom 2 fire elemental cards. Guys, we have Llama Tamer that searches for a fire elemental. We can just make sure the bottom 2 are like a Flame Bat and a Flame Chained Elder, so that if we need 9 damage, those are the bottom 2. Cool. Kudos. Awesome. They have cards like Recarving to search the bottom 4 cards of your discard pile, put them back into your deck. Okay, those are 2. Now the next 2 are probably Fire Elemental cards. We have so many things that bring back Elemental cards from our discard pile right now. We have the, it's like a Colossi Gateway or something like that brings 3 Elemental cards from our discard pile back to our hand or back to our deck. Like we can manipulate our graveyard in Mountain with Elementals to make it so the bottom 2 Fire Elemental cards are ones that we want to make sure we bring back to our hand. So using it once per game doesn't feel bad at all. You're going to use this when you can legitimately just win next turn. Actually, Shives, you're right. They fixed it so you can not trigger once per game abilities with Dust Talon. They did fix that. You are absolutely right. But yeah, Ferris the Banished is just a really good card. I think he's going to find a really nice spot, especially with Fire Supremacy. We haven't really seen a whole lot of things with Fire Supremacy that have been, out there doing their own thing. We saw the one Cinder Branch. She was good, but you didn't utilize her for Fire Supremacy. You utilized her to use the ability after fire. Like, she didn't need Supremacy on it. Ferris the Banished is going to be really good with an Elemental deck. I think we're going to find someone outside of Tyrannos that can run Elementals and do it really well, and then still have things to be able to cross order with Elementals, because Tyrannos couldn't hold items. I think that that's going to be really good with him, is that we finally have another hero who's really good with Elementals, who's really good to just manipulate the Elementals from your discard pile, really give the strong Elemental package to Mountain with the ability to splash some in there with a hero that utilizes it that well. Ferris is going to be an amazing hero to play. I give it a 4, maybe even a 4.5. And the fact is, like, yeah, his ability is only used once per game. The abilities that you can only use once per game, you shouldn't need to use them more than once per game to win that game. You should be using them to, like, use it late in the game to get back cards that are going to win you the game, or deal the damage that are going to win the game. Like, they're not cards that you want to be able to use the ability multiple times. They're cards that the ability is used once. You better have used it in a point where it's either going to make or break a game, and that's what swings the game around to you. That's what swings it around to you. If you think about this, like, you have no cards in hand, and your opponent's at like 4, I only need to use this ability once to get a Fire Elemental card back and kill them. I didn't need to use it twice. I didn't need to get extra value out of it. That's overwinning. Playing it once is perfectly fine. There's an Exterior Defender in the background. I think Krub is better because card draw is card draw. Aquamarine Jova, you are absolutely right. Nope, it's just the bottom Fire Elementals. So like the Earth, it could be like Earth Crystal, Earth, Fire, that's not even an Elemental, and then keep going until you find 2 Fire Elemental cards. That's why it's so good. It's because it does not have to be the bottom 2. If it said move the bottom 2 cards back if they were Fire Elemental, it's just move the bottom 2 Fire Elemental. It's kind of the same thing that the Poison one did, where moved your top 2 Poison cards back. You look into your discard pile for the top 2 Poison cards and move those back. They didn't have to be the top 2 that were Poison. You just look for the top 2 Poison. So what's really good about Ferris. I think Ferris is going to be really good. I like him a lot. This is like a 5-star rating for him. Okay. Guys, I hate to do this, but this is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I'll have to pick up this review probably on Monday. I've already been talking for like 5 hours. I do have plans for the rest of the day, so I do apologize that I will stop it here at Nature, and I will come back on Monday and talk Nature with you guys. I know I wanted to get through this review all in one day, but there's so much to talk about. As I said, there's so much to discuss. So bear with me, guys. I will be back on Monday to talk about these. I've already made plans for the rest of the weekend. I didn't think it would take me this long to get through, like, not even half of the cards. So, Aquamarine Jovia, I do apologize. Yes, I know. But stay tuned for Monday. I do want to spend as much time as I can on these reviews, because I do think that I have a lot of opinions to give, and I do want to make sure that I don't just rush through the cards and make it feel like I just said, oh, it's 5, and I didn't explain why I gave it 5. I want to be able to talk about these cards before the set comes out so that people can get an understanding of why I gave them the ratings. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to stop on Fire. I'm going to stop on Mountain, and we'll pick this back up on Monday. I do apologize, but thank you everyone who tuned in for this card review. There's so many good cards in this set, so many good cards I want to get my hands on to play and just really reinvent the game. And Nature is probably my number 1 alignment that I love in this game entirely, so I cannot wait. Pacer Custom says, no, I can keep going all day hearing you. Dude, that means the world to me. That really does. Yeah, my be all end all thing, Pacer, is I would love to become a full-time streamer one day. I would love that so much. I have a degree in game design, so I love talking about games. The job market that I had as soon as college graduated wasn't there. So I feel like this is my next step, and to be like, hey, this is how I can, still use my degree in somewhat of an intellectual way, is being able to entertain and give my advice, give my opinions on this stuff in a more concrete way with my background for game design. And as to like, oh no, this makes sense of why they made this card. Like, I feel this card needs to be adjusted to fit the balance a little better, stuff like that. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I do apologize for cutting like an hour short, but if I did Nature, it would go on for like another 2 hours. We all know that. I could talk about these forever. So many good cards. So please stay tuned for Monday. I will be back on Monday to do this broadcast. Hopefully I can start early on Monday, maybe 4 or 5, knowing that I have 3 orders and an unaligned order to get to, and a lot of those things are really good to talk about. So we'll see if I can start early on Monday. I don't know, but I do want to get this done before Wednesday when the expansion drops. So thank you all very much for tuning in to me today. Thank you very much for listening to my opinions, giving me opinions of my own, making me contradict all what I've been saying before, but it has been a major blast doing this for you guys. So thank you very much. I'll try to have this up on YouTube hopefully later in the day, if not tomorrow, and then Monday I'll be back. So we should expect this review to go till at least next Saturday, huh? I mean, yeah. Wrangler, I will try. I will keep doing my best. This I will try to post this up on YouTube. If not tonight, then on Sunday. But I do have things I have this weekend planned, so that's why I'm cutting it short today. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in with me. It's been 5 hours of me nonstop talking. My throat's already starting to get sore. I need water. I'm out of water. Oh, man. But yes, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I love talking about this game, and I'll be back on Monday. Please catch me on Twitter or on my own Discord to find out when, because like I said, I'm going to try and go early on Monday if I can to fit in enough time so that I don't stay up until midnight on Monday talking about this, because there's so much to talk about still. There's so much, and I don't want to miss a single minute with you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you guys next time.